All right. This is going to be module 2. This is going to be lecture number 5. And in this one in particular, we're going to be talking about something called pagers. There are a couple different ways we can use this. So I have it on the board right here. So when you hear the term pagers in the Linux world, the idea is that a pager allows us to basically skim through I misspelled skim, through a file in an interactive view. And what do we mean by interactive? Because we're in the terminal, so how interactive can we get? Well, there's two that we can use in particular. One of them is called more, okay? The first one that we're going to talk about is called more. And then the next one we're going to talk about is called, change that to green, more. And the next one we're going to talk about is going to be less, okay? So we have more and we have less. And they have their purposes, and they have they both do the same thing, but there's one little caveat that we have to kind of understand before we understand why there's two different commands. So let's go ahead and first let's look at more. Okay, let's do a tac help for more. So the more command, a file perusal filter for CRT viewing. And that's what that was originally for. Notice the CRT terminology. If you don't know what a CRT is, then more than likely you were probably born after 1980, okay? 1980. But a CRT was basically a monitor, but it was a specific type of monitor where it was very big and bulky. So this is what it actually is used for. But we can use this to help peruse through this actual command, file. So we have different files if we want to look and see what's in it. We talked about one command, how to see. Let's go ahead and look at the etc password file. Okay. We talked about concatenate, or the cat command, and we can see that it's here. It prints everything to the screen, right? But I have to, it takes up real estate, it takes up space, and then I have this whole thing. And, I just want to go ahead and make sure I get everything I need to taken care of. So what do I need to do in this case? Well, I'm going to clear my screen. Well, we have these actual pagers. And the first one is called more. So we're going to type in more, etc. We're going to do this two different ways. I'm going to show you a simple way and a really interesting way. So we talked about the idea that we can go ahead and do a cat, okay? We're gonna cat etc/password. And here we go. So now we're gonna cat this. We know it's gonna give us the output, okay? But we're gonna combine it with a pipe. And we're gonna pipe that to the more command. Saying, hey, take this output. I want you to output it into more. So notice what happens right here. First of all, it changes to more. I can move up and down. But notice that right here, once it actually hits some more, notice that it actually is basically its own independent thing. I don't have the ability to move up and down. I can't really move left and right. All I can do is hit the enter key. And the more I hit the enter key, the more I can go ahead and go through each line individually. Now, let's do that again. I hit the enter key, it's individual line. Now, if I hit the space bar, watch what happens. I basically jump. It's almost like a page. Think of it like a page down versus like going through individual lines. Okay, that's more command. And again, notice that what happens at the end. Again, at the end, we have all this gobbledygook right here. Now, this is where my favorite command comes into play. Sometimes you need it there. Sometimes you need to be able to see it still. But we don't always have to see it. I'm going to go ahead and actually do this. I'm going to type less instead. So we've done this one. We've done the more command. Now we're going to do less. And I want you to go ahead and visually see the difference. Now notice the first thing overall, I can't see the command I ran before, which I did before that, right? Now also the idea of more is gone, okay? I can use my up and down arrows to move independently with the less, okay? So now what happens when I hit enter? Same thing, I can go up and down. What happens if I hit space? Same thing, it kind of does like a page down effect to say, hey, go this way down. Cool. But watch what happens when I get to the end of the file. Notice it says end. Well, if I don't need to go, if I'm done with this, how do I go ahead and get rid of it? We're gonna go ahead and hit the Q. I hit Q, and here I hit Q, and notice what happened. Nothing's left on my terminal screen. When we did this with more, we were able to see that it left it there on the actual screen, but now it doesn't. So when I do the less command, it doesn't do that. Now I can take this, I can do this right here, I can take that and I can pipe it to the less command or pipe it to the more command, or I can go ahead and be very, very savvy and condense it and just do a more password. And notice what's even more interesting. When I do a more, okay, now watch what happened. When I did the long way, I did this. Remember, I did the, let me get this right here. I did the cat/etsy/password, right? And then I piped that to more. And remember, it just said more. But what happens when I do more /etsy/password? Well, not only does it actually do what it did before, but it also gives me a progress bar at the bottom. So you know where you're at in the document. So I can go ahead and go individually. So you can see 47, I'm gonna hit this, I was hitting the enter key. Now I'm gonna hit the space bar. And look, it jumped 86%, that was almost double. Okay, and then hit the enter. And then once I get to the end, it says, okay, you're done, you're at the end of the document, cool. That's it, I'm going back to the terminal screen. So we can do the same thing. Let's clear this up and let's do less/etsy/password. Now, then difference here is that over here, we're doing less, where we did cat/etsy/password, and we pipe that out to less. So now the difference is we're going to go ahead and do less/etsy/password. And notice again, the same thing is a little bit different. And it gave me the name of the actual document. So I can move up and down. And at the very beginning, when I did it, it gave me the name of the actual document. You can see right here. You are in viewing the Etsy password file. So we can actually move up and down until we get to the very end. It tells me, hey, you're at the end of the file. Now I want to exit. I hit the Q, exit out. All right. So those are our two main pagers. There are a couple other ones that we can do that are a little bit wonky, okay? Wonky. So let's go ahead and actually do, and we're going to review another one called grep. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually talk about, they're not wonky, but they also have a purpose. Sometimes I think I don't really need to know, let's say I'm watching like error logs, right? I'm in the error log folder, and I only care about the last, couple error logs. Well, there's two other commands we can do that are really helpful in that regard. The first one is going to be called head. Hate that, sorry. And the next one's going to be called tail. Okay, so we have head and we have tail. So what are these? Well, these are also pager-like, but they have a specific purpose. So we do a help on head. Head, by default, prints the first 10 lines of each file to standard output, okay? So by default, head prints the first 10 lines, okay? So just by context clues, if head does the first 10 lines, then potentially tail should be the opposite, right? So tail actually, it prints the last 10 lines of the document. So we have a command that prints the first 10 and the last 10. Now, what if you're like, well, I don't want 10. What if I don't need 10? Well, if we look at the help command, we can actually go ahead and tell it, hey, I want to go ahead and using the tag n flag or the dash n flag, we can go and say print the first number, n number of lines, and where that's going to be a number. Now we're like, well, let's go ahead and play with it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and actually do cat/Etsy/password. All right, so these are the first 10 lines. Sorry, that was my bad. Head/Etsy/password. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, cool. So that's 10 lines. Now let's go ahead and do tail/Etsy/password. Cool. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And some of y'all thinking, well, how is this going to be? How do we know for sure this is actually it? So let's go ahead and actually look at this. I'm going to go ahead and create a new tab. I'm going to blow this up real quick. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a cat. We're going to do less/Etsy/password. All right, so the first line starts with root. Let's go back to our head command. So we're looking at our head command. The first line starts with root, and then the last 10, the 10th line is operator. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, there we go. So we verified that one. Let's go to the bottom now. All right, so we're looking at the bottom one. This is the tail command. The last log user is called postfix, which there it is right there. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the first line in the last 10 lines should be GDM. And it's verified. Oh, sorry, it's Clevis. 10. Okay, Clevis. I miscounted apparently. Let me make sure. Oh, yeah. 8, 9, 10. Okay. So I skipped this one for some reason. So here's the last 10. All right, so that's tail. Now, let's say, for example, well, I don't need 10. Let's say I want the last 5. So we can go, I want the last 5 users. So we're going to do tag n 5. So we're going to say, hey, count 5, and let's see what happens. Oh, look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So what about, well, if it's lower than 10, what about more than 10? Oh, look, it does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Ah, okay. So we can actually do more or less than 10. So that's one of the cool things between head and tail is that you can actually program it. We can do head. We're going to do head 2. So the first 2 logins, okay? Cool. Now we can go ahead and actually combine this even more, and we can say, let's go ahead and do 12 instead of 10. So now we're at 12. So last one was operators. Now we have games and FTP. So this is a really cool feature we can do with head and tails, and you'll get more practice with it. I do suggest practicing with it, play with it, see how it works. And you'll get practice with the activity you'll be working on throughout this course. So with that being said, the next big thing is that I want to go ahead and actually show you how to go ahead and kind of incorporate these a little bit more. So we can go ahead and then combine this information. So let's go ahead and actually combine this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to cat. We're going to do a review of cat. I'm going to clear this out. We're going to cat Etsy password, and we're going to do another command. This new command is called sort. And it does exactly what it says it does. We're going to sort this information alphabetically. So originally, remember the first user we had was root. That was the first user. Now the first user using after we pipe it to sort, we're going to go ahead and get his ADM. Okay, because we sorted it by there. Now, I can then go ahead and review this again. Instead of sorting, let's grep. Okay, we're going to grep. I want to figure out who has the ability to log in. Let's say I want to know which users have login credentials. Okay, who can log into this actual box. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, do cat etc password. I'm then going to go ahead and pipe the actual output to another command. So what command do we use to go ahead and to find patterns of information? Well, we have a nifty command, which we talked about in the last video, called grep. So we're going to grep, and in particular, we're going to grep for this actual command. And what this does, it says, hey, tell me if you see a bin bash, that usually means that that user has a login terminal. Okay, just see what happens. Oh, look at that. So I went ahead and catted all the stuff. And then from there, we grepped out the bin bash information. So these three users, root, student, Timmy, have bin bash. And that means that they actually can log into this box. Let's see what happens if we change it up. Let's see if we actually, let's go ahead and search for, well, how do you log, if you don't have a login, then what is it? It should be, it's going to change. Now we'll say this. If the user doesn't have a login, every flavor of OS is different. But please note that you can get an idea of what it's going to be, depending on whether it's going to be Debian based, KDE based, if it's going to go ahead and be Ubuntu style, Fedora, Rails style, SUSE style, Parrot OS, stuff like that. Those are Kali. You can go ahead and determine that based off of that. So no login actually is what we use to specify whether or not that a user doesn't have a login terminal. So let's go ahead and type in no login. Here are all the users that have no login on this box. Okay. So we talked about pagers. Let's go ahead and review real quick. Talk about pagers and how they allow us to skim through files without an interactive view. We talked about the two major commands, more and less, and how to go ahead and utilize them, cat, or we can just type in more or less. We talked about two other ways we can go ahead and pull data from a file, be it the first 10 lines, the last 10 lines, or maybe it's not even the first 10 or last 10, maybe it's the first 2 or the last 17. It's up to you. As long as you know how to use the help commands, you can do that. We talked about sort, how we can sort this information. We talked about grepping, okay, grep. So by the by, like this is all really, really helpful, really good. We want to be able to go ahead and just have an idea of, notice I'm doing this step by step. I'm introducing you to new commands almost on every lecture because these are ones that you're going to have to be able to use functionally throughout the entire course. And I want to make sure I'm hitting on these really good. So if you have any questions, please send me an email. If not, you can go ahead and move on to the next lecture. The next lecture is going to be talking about how to do troubleshooting. And once you get that done, you know, you're done with module 2 and you can go ahead and get ready for module 3. Other than that, this is, you know, again, send me some email or quick questions. And then from there, anything, I'll see you next video.